Katie's heart clenched with worry as she noticed her usually chatty 4-year-old son, Jack, suddenly fall silent. His laughter, once a constant melody in their home, had disappeared, leaving behind an eerie silence that unsettled Katie to her core. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was horribly wrong. With each passing day, Jack's silence became more pronounced, his once bright eyes now clouded with sadness, sending a shiver down Katie's spine as she searched for answers. Katie, a devoted mother in her early 30s, had always cherished her bond with Jack. She couldn't bear to see her son suffering in silence, and she was determined to uncover the truth behind his sudden change in behavior. Ever since Katie's mother-in-law, Martha, had begun helping out with childcare, Jack's behavior had shifted. Once outgoing and playful, he now seemed withdrawn and distant, retreating into himself like a shell. Katie couldn't shake the feeling that Martha's presence was somehow linked to Jack's sudden change. She felt a growing sense of unease every time Martha came around, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what was wrong. As Katie reflected on her family's dynamics, she couldn't ignore the growing tension between herself and Martha. What had once been a warm relationship had soured, Martha's constant critiques and judgmental remarks chipping away at Katie's confidence as a mother. With Jack's silence exacerbating the situation, Katie knew she had to take action. She couldn't stand idly by while her son suffered, and she was determined to get to the bottom of things. At Jack's birthday party, Katie noticed Martha's overbearing behavior towards Jack. She couldn't shake the feeling that Martha was somehow responsible for Jack's sudden change in behavior, but she didn't want to cause a scene in front of their guests. She resolved to keep a close eye on Martha and confront her privately about her concerns later. Katie mustered the courage to confront Martha about Jack's behavior, hoping for reassurance but fearing the worst. "Martha," Katie began tentatively, "have you noticed anything different about Jack lately?" Martha's response was dismissive, her words dripping with condescension. "Oh, Katie, children go through phases all the time. I'm sure he'll come around soon enough," she said, waving off Katie's concerns as if they were nothing more than trivialities. Katie felt a surge of frustration at Martha's flippant attitude, but she was determined not to let her off the hook so easily. But Katie couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Jack's silence than met the eye. Determined to uncover the truth, she decided to take matters into her own hands. Setting up a hidden camera seemed like the only way to get to the bottom of things. She felt a sense of urgency as she set up the camera, knowing that time was of the essence if she wanted to catch whatever was causing Jack's behavior on film. As tensions simmered between Katie and Martha, Katie's relationship with her husband, David, began to strain under the weight of their shared concern for Jack. David's loyalty to his mother clashed with Katie's growing distrust, creating a divide that threatened to tear them apart. Katie felt a pang of sadness as she realized how much their family had been affected by Martha's presence. She knew that if they didn't find a way to resolve their differences soon, it could have serious consequences for their marriage and their son. Katie's confrontation with David about Martha's behavior only served to deepen the rift between them. "David, please," Katie pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "We have to protect Jack from her." David's response was defensive, his loyalty to his mother clouding his judgment. He couldn't understand why Katie was so adamant about keeping Martha away from Jack, and it frustrated him to no end. Katie felt a sense of despair as she realized how alone she was in her fight to protect their son. The fallout from Katie's discovery was swift and devastating. Martha's betrayal had torn their family apart, leaving Katie and David to pick up the pieces as they struggled to come to terms with the truth. Katie felt a mixture of anger and sadness as she realized how much damage Martha had caused. She couldn't believe that someone she had trusted could be capable of such cruelty, and it made her question everything she thought she knew about her family. Alone in her thoughts, Katie found herself doubting her own instincts. Was she overreacting? Was Jack's silence just a phase, as Martha had suggested? But deep down, Katie knew the truth. Jack's silence was a symptom of something far more sinister. She couldn't shake the feeling that Martha was somehow responsible for Jack's behavior, and she was determined to prove it, no matter what it took. As Katie watched Jack retreat further into himself, a sense of urgency gripped her heart. She couldn't afford to wait any longer. Whatever was causing Jack's silence needed to be exposed, and fast. She felt a surge of determination as she resolved to get to the bottom of things once and for all. She knew that time was running out, and she couldn't afford to waste a single moment. With each passing day, Katie's determination to uncover the truth only grew stronger. She spent countless hours poring over the footage from the hidden camera, searching for any clue that might explain Jack's behavior. She felt a sense of frustration as she sifted through hours of footage, finding nothing but mundane moments captured on film. But she refused to give up hope, knowing that the answer was out there somewhere, waiting to be discovered. Finally, after days of relentless searching, Katie stumbled upon something that made her blood run cold. In the footage, she saw Martha speaking harshly to Jack, her words laced with cruelty that sent shivers down Katie's spine. She felt a surge of anger as she watched Martha mistreat her son, knowing that she had been right to suspect her all along. She couldn't believe that someone could be so callous towards a child, and it filled her with a renewed sense of determination to bring Martha to justice. The discovery left Katie reeling, her worst fears confirmed. Martha's mistreatment of Jack was undeniable, but Katie knew she couldn't confront her mother-in-law without concrete evidence to back up her claims. She felt a sense of frustration as she realized that she still had a long way to go before she could bring Martha to justice. But she refused to let herself be discouraged, knowing that she had come too far to give up now. As Katie grappled with the weight of her discovery, she realized the danger that Martha posed to Jack. If she didn't act fast, Jack's silence could become permanent, a heartbreaking reminder of the trauma he had endured. She felt a surge of panic as she realized how much was at stake, knowing that she had to act quickly if she wanted to protect her son. She couldn't bear the thought of Jack suffering any longer, and she was determined to do whatever it took to keep him safe. As tensions reached a boiling point, Katie found herself locked in a battle of wills with Martha, determined to protect Jack at all costs. But with Martha's manipulation and deceit threatening to derail her efforts, Katie knew she had to tread carefully. She felt a sense of frustration as she realized how difficult it would be to bring Martha to justice, knowing that she was up against a formidable opponent. But she refused to back down, knowing that Jack's safety was worth fighting for. The fallout from Katie's discovery was swift and devastating. Martha's betrayal had torn their family apart, leaving Katie and David to pick up the pieces as they struggled to come to terms with the truth. Katie felt a sense of despair as she realized how much damage Martha had caused, knowing that it would take a long time to heal the wounds she had inflicted. But she refused to let herself be consumed by grief, knowing that she had to stay strong for Jack's sake. As Katie and David navigated the aftermath of Martha's betrayal, they found themselves grappling with a myriad of emotions. Anger, sadness, and disbelief washed over them in waves, threatening to engulf them in darkness. They felt a sense of betrayal as they realized how much they had trusted Martha, only to have that trust shattered in an instant. But they refused to let themselves be consumed by bitterness, knowing that they had to stay focused on getting justice for Jack. Desperate for answers, Katie turned to the only person she trusted, Jack's pediatrician. "Doctor, please," Katie begged, her voice shaking with emotion. "You have to help us. We don't know what to do." The pediatrician listened sympathetically as Katie poured out her heart, offering words of comfort and reassurance. She felt a sense of relief as she realized that she wasn't alone in her fight to protect Jack, knowing that she had someone in her corner who was willing to help her. With the support of Jack's pediatrician, Katie and David made the difficult decision to cut ties with Martha for good. It wasn't easy, but they knew it was the only way to keep Jack safe from further harm. They felt a sense of sadness as they realized that they would never be able to trust Martha again, knowing that she had betrayed them in the worst possible way. But they refused to let themselves be consumed by regret, knowing that they had made the right decision for their family. Armed with newfound resolve, Katie and David set out to rebuild their family's shattered trust and heal the wounds left behind by Martha's betrayal. Together, they vowed to create a safe and loving environment for Jack to thrive in. They felt a sense of determination as they realized that they had the power to shape their own destiny, knowing that they would do whatever it took to protect their son. They refused to let themselves be held back by fear, knowing that they had already overcome so much together. As Katie watched Jack slowly emerge from his shell, her heart swelled with pride. Though the road ahead would be long and challenging, she knew they would face it together as a family. She felt a sense of hope as she realized how far they had come, knowing that they had finally turned a corner in their journey towards healing. She knew that they still had a long way to go, but she refused to let herself be discouraged, knowing that they had already overcome so much together. Katie's confrontation with Martha was explosive, the truth finally coming to light in a torrent of emotion and accusations. "How could you?" Katie demanded, her voice shaking with anger and disbelief. "How could you hurt Jack like this?" Martha's response was chilling, her cold indifference confirming Katie's worst fears. "He's just a child," Katie cried, her voice breaking with emotion. "How could you be so cruel?" She felt a surge of anger as she realized how little regard Martha had for Jack's well-being, knowing that she had to do whatever it took to protect her son from further harm. With Martha's true nature exposed, Katie wasted no time in taking action to protect Jack. She filed a report with the authorities and cut off all contact with Martha, determined to keep her away from Jack for good. She felt a sense of relief as she realized that Martha would finally be held accountable for her actions, knowing that she had done everything in her power to protect her son. She knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but she refused to let herself be intimidated by the challenges that lay ahead. With Martha's true nature exposed, Katie felt a sense of closure, as she realized that she had finally uncovered the truth behind Jack's silence. She felt a sense of satisfaction as she realized that she had been right to trust her instincts, knowing that she had done everything in her power to protect her son. As the dust settled, Katie and David worked together to rebuild their family's shattered trust and heal the wounds caused by Martha's betrayal. Jack's silence slowly began to lift, replaced by the sound of his laughter ringing through the halls once more. They felt a sense of relief as they realized that their son was finally starting to return to his old self, knowing that they had done the right thing by standing up to Martha. They knew that there would still be challenges ahead, but they felt confident that they would be able to overcome them together as a family. With Martha out of their lives, Katie and David focused on nurturing Jack's emotional well-being and rebuilding their family's bond. Though the road ahead would be long and challenging, they knew they would face it together, stronger than ever before. They felt a sense of optimism as they realized how far they had come, knowing that they had finally put the darkness of Martha's betrayal behind them. Did you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.